Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for being here. I know you're busy. I want to follow up on Senator Langford's questions, and I want to be sure I understand. We have inmates who are in prison for rape, and they have cell phones. And in some instances, they are calling their rape victims and harassing them. And we know about it. And the carriers involved are not shutting down these cell phones. Is that accurate?
I would say they have not been as forward-leaning on some of the technological solutions as they could be.
How many carriers are not being forward-leaning?
There's no specific number. I would say the ones you would know, the names you would know.
Which ones?
I think all of the major carriers, we've been working with them, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, U.S. Cellular. We've worked with the CTIA, the Wireless Association.
Why would you not, by you I mean the FCC, why would you not get them in, hold a hearing, and say, if you don't stop this, we're going to hit you so hard that Google can't find you?
We've done that, Senator. We actually I was the first chairman in history to convene a meeting of the industry, correctional officials, and other stakeholders in the FCC's office.
They're still tolerating it.
So from our perspective, I said, as I mentioned to Senator Langford, I'm very frustrated with where we are here. And what I will say is if the carriers don't take action, then I expect we would move forward with a notice of proposed rulemaking.
I think we're going to hold a hearing on that subject.
I would certainly have the witnesses to send you because there are folks out there.
And get the carriers in and we can visit with them. Let me jump gears here. I've reviewed the transcript of your testimony at our two prior hearings. You testified, did you not, that one of the reasons, indeed the main reason, that we're giving the $10 billion, not the $5 billion to relocate, but the $10 billion to the foreign satellite companies was to avoid litigation. That's correct, isn't it?
I don't have any reason to believe that your rendition is inaccurate. Yeah,
you said it.
Sure.
Did I also understand that you just testified that you have reached an agreement with these foreign satellite companies in which taxpayers will give them $10 billion, but you didn't ask them to waive any claims or causes of action they have?
So although the incumbents electing these payments have not technically waived a right to litigation, they have forfeited it by agreeing to the election. That is what I understand is in the commission's order.
So they have they waived it or not?
I mean, they certainly forfeited it by getting the payments. I mean, you can't. Can
they come back later and sue?
I don't know the law on that point.
We're going to have another hearing, get your general counsel in here. I mean, what would prohibit them from taking the $10 billion, cashing the check or checks, and then suing?
Well, number one, it's in the terms of the order. Number two, they only get the payments if they do the requisite work for phase one and phase two. So,
but what would prevent them from taking the $10 billion and moving and then filing suit and say, we had to go along because the FCC made us, but they were wrong and we want damages?
I'm not sure. I can't answer the legal hypothetical here. I'm just not.
I want to get someone who can. Yeah. You've been sued anyway, haven't you?
By the small satellite operators, yes.
What if they win?
I don't believe they will. As I said, they have no use of these.
If you didn't believe they would win, then why did you give the other satellite companies $10 billion to avoid litigation?
Well, that's an entirely separate class of, those are the folks who are necessary for the transition to be successful. They use the C-band spectrum. Their work is essential to clearing out that spectrum to make it available for 5G.
But the claims are still the same, and that is by the satellite companies, big or small. Their claim is that they have a property right and the FCC can't divest them. Isn't that true?
But in this case, it's very different because I don't believe the small satellite operators, as I mentioned, have any cognizable claim of irreparable harm. If you're not using something.
What happens if they win?
That's, again, in response to Senator Coons, I'd have to study what the effect of an injunction would be. It would obviously depend on the scope of the injunction, et cetera. But I don't believe that's an eventuality that we are going to face.
This makes no sense to me, Mr. Chairman. I want to get your general counsel in here and your lawyers in here. I've never heard of giving somebody $10 billion to keep them from suing without them waiving their claims and causes of action. Last question. The foreign satellite, in addition to the $10 billion, we're giving the foreign satellite companies $5 billion for relocation expenses. They're going to use some of that money to buy satellites. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
They promised to buy American satellites, did they not?
Well, several of them, including just today, have announced that they will buy
But
American-based.
some of them are not buying American satellites. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of any announcements on that front, so I can't speak to whether or not.
Well, I can show you the news articles. Did you put in your order before you gave them $5 billion to move that they had to buy America?
Oh, Senator, we don't have the legal authority to do that.
Why not?
Current law doesn't, under the Communications Act, doesn't give us the ability to do that. So we haven't promulgated
Does
rules.
it prohibit you?
We would have to have some sort of national security justification, some sort of evidence that doing so would present a national
I
security
want to get your
threat.
general counsel in here and let's talk about that too. Senator Coons.